Hi beautiful people. The OGs who have been following me for quite some time know that I used to live in Ireland, but now I've left Ireland, and since then I've lost my residency status in Ireland. Obviously it only makes sense because I've been in the UK for almost 2 years now, but my brother still lives in Ireland, and from time to time I have to go visit him in Dublin. Now at the same time, my parents live in Nigeria, and for obvious reasons they have to be in Dublin. So I can say, after applying for an Irish visa over 3 times for both my parents, and applying for an Irish visa myself, both on a student level and on a visiting level, for both myself, my husband, my friends, I've in total applied for an Irish visa over 10 times. So I can say I've got some experience applying for an Irish visa. Now this video is about a step-by-step process on how to apply for an Irish visa. Ireland has one of the most stringent immigration rules I've seen from any country. They're very strict with their immigration rules. So if you're going to apply for an Irish visa from the UK, from the US, and because I've applied from both Nigeria and the UK, I can give you an insight as to what to expect in both countries. If you are going to apply for an Irish visa, the first step you want to take is Googling apply for an Irish visa online. Typically, it should take you to this website, visas.inis.gov.ie. This automatically takes you to an online visa application facility where you have to fill an online document. This document can be extensive. It's about a 4 to 6 page document where you're just answering certain questions that is thrown at you. One thing I've seen about this document is try as much as possible not to lie on this document, especially if you live in the UK, because the UK and Ireland share a lot of information as they are a common travel area with each other. So if you've been denied a visa before, now is not the time to say that you have not been denied a visa. You have to be truthful with this application. After you fill those documents, the next thing you want to do is get an appointment. In Nigeria, you have to get an appointment with VFS in Manor House in Lekki Phase 1, and in the UK they do not do an appointment system. It's simply a first come first serve basis, but not necessarily a first come first serve basis, but you have to be at the visa application center between 8:30 and 11 Monday to Friday every day. Anytime after 11 a.m. you would not be attended to. Let's come down to the documents you require. Obviously, you need your passport to apply for an Irish visa. You also need to take a passport photograph, but we all know that the passport photograph can also be taken at the visa application center. Now, it's the main documents that you really need. If you're going to be going as a tourist, you need to write an application letter saying what you're going to be doing, where you're going to go when you plan to come to the country. Apart from the application letter, you need to submit your pay slip, you need to submit health insurance that shows that you'll be covered. Last time I applied for a tourist Irish visa, I don't think they accepted my health insurance. I guess because they all know that if you're living in the UK, you'd automatically be covered under the NHS. Anyway, just to make sure everything was clear, I submitted my health insurance, I submitted my 3 months pay slip, letter from office saying, oh, they know that I work there. I also had to submit a reserved hotel accommodation, clearly stating your name on the accommodation. And if you're going to be 2, you need to ensure you add 2 people's names so that the visa officer can see that it's going to be 2 people staying there, especially the person is going to be applying with you. If you're invited by anybody, you definitely need to submit an invitation letter. I'm going to show a sample of what my brother's invitation letter to me looks like. In your application letter, like I said earlier, you need to submit your holiday plan, and you need to show a 3-month bank statement, obviously showing that you can afford to go on this trip. Sometimes you may see an obligation to go back home. This has been explained earlier in terms of if you have a job, if you're married, basically any ties that brings you back home. And if you're a student, you need to submit a letter from your school or anything that proves that you're actually enrolled in that course of study. So generally, if you've applied for a Schengen visa, you can pretty much get an overview of what is required. The only different thing is the specific online document they have that you have to submit. An Irish visa application does not require you to show evidence of a flight reservation, but you definitely need to show evidence of a hotel booking or where you're going to stay. If you're going to be staying with someone, the person has to write a letter to say they're inviting you. Now, that person also has to submit a utility bill as like proof of where they stay. They have to send you a copy of their Irish residence permit. You may need to know what their justice number is in order to fill it on the form. It's not necessarily compulsory to know what their justice number is. And they also have to send you a copy of their passport biodata page along with an invite letter, like I said earlier. So it's really not so much of a hassle apply from the UK. In the same vein, if you have to apply for an Irish visa from Nigeria, it's a little bit more tiring, it's a little bit more of a hassle because of the amount of documents they would require for you to submit. If you're applying from the UK, generally, you do not need to submit 2 copies of each of these things, but in Nigeria, they need you to submit the original document of almost everything you are submitting and also a photocopy, which is a bulk of documents. Now, every other thing as for the application also works in Nigeria. Now, the only place is different is the fact that you have to get an appointment and you have to make a copy of every passport you've ever held. If you're going to declare that passport, you have to make a copy of every page of every passport you've ever held. So if you have a 64-page document and you've never used them, you still have to make a copy of every page of that passport, which is not a walk in the park. I can assume a lot of us have used up 2 or 3 passports, and imagine having to make a copy of that. I have to sign an online questionnaire thing. I'll paste it around here. I can't fully recall what it's called, but you definitely have to sign that and take it along with you for your application. If any of these things are missing, it takes a longer time for your application to be processed, especially if you're applying in Nigeria, because you may not be attended to at the VFS in Nigeria. The waiting time in Nigeria is about 8 weeks to get a decision, 8 to 9 weeks roughly. But in the UK, it's about 3 to 4 weeks to get a decision and get your passport sent back to you. I currently have a 1-year Irish visa, but it also depends on the length of your passport. And we all know by now, if you're applying from the UK for an Irish visa or any visa at all, you need to be showing them your share code. They will not accept your application if you do not have your share code. So because the BRP has now been phased out, you also have to have your share code handy and ready to go. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if there's any question around the Irish visa you want me to answer. So this is specifically, by the way, this is specifically for an Irish tourist visa or an Irish visiting visa. It is another ball game when it comes to a student visa or a worker's visa. Thank you for watching this. Just let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I'll see you all later. Bye.